sweet rom-com teen drama. What this turned out to be was more like Fatal Attraction. And I was here for it. The drama, the mess, I loved it, okay? Hello unicorns, it's Tiffany and your girl Angelica, and we are back here today with another video. So today we're doing something different. This video I'm going to title The Wind Down because it's time to sit down, relax and talk about one of my favourite books. Now this book has achieved its unicorn status, okay? This book I take no criticisms on. I have read this book multiple times and each time I reread it, I get something new. As it is The Wind Down, what I want you to do is go sit down, get your drink, get comfortable and let me tell you why everybody should be reading 32 Candles by ERNESSA T. Carter. So this is the book we're going to be discussing today, 32 Candles. And firstly, I love the colour scheme. Yellow, pink and yellow. Yeah, I don't like holding books if you know me, and I won't have enough hands because I'm going to be holding my drink real soon. So I'm just going to... So, as it is the wind down, I've already told you to get your drinks. It's time for me to get my drink. So today, I'm thinking to drink a Malbec. I'm thinking it's a red. I feel like having red. And this, where's this from? It says it's from Chile. It's a Chilean Malbec. I actually picked this up from Aldi because, you know, Aldi does some good wines. If you're ever in mood to get a drink, go to Aldi. Oh, smells nice. Smells lovely. Oh, got a tang to it, but it's smooth. It's smooth. All right then, Aldi. I see you. I see you. Cheers. Right, so as I said, we're here to discuss 32 Candles by ERNESSA T. Carter. So this is a romance kind of contemporary book and it is so powerful. It is both powerful and vulnerable in its storytelling. Oh, I love it. I love it. So let me just give you a brief synopsis of what this book's about before we get into the nitty gritty. Okay? So 32 Candles follows the feeder, aka Daffy Jones, a little black girl who grew up in a small town of Glass, Mississippi. So when the book first opens, we see Daffida in this town. She has no friends. She didn't have an easy upbringing. Like her mother showed her no love. Actually, her mother actually resents her. And she is on the darker side of black, okay? She's got really dark skin and her whole town ridicules her for this. So there's a heavy focus on colorism, especially in the first part of this book. And it's really interesting because this town of Glass, Mississippi is predominantly a black town. Like there's hardly any white people, yet she still gets that racism, that colorism, negativity put on her because she's dark-skinned. Lovely. So then when she gets to high school, secondary school, when she gets there, most of her classmates, most of her peers call her Monkey Knight. First of all, kids out here in these streets are ruthless. How dare you call a girl Monkey Knight? Because they said she looked like a monkey and her skin is dark like night. I just find, first of all, that's so disrespectful. I think I would cry if someone called me Monkey Knight. Although, looking at it on the flip side, Monkey Knight sounds like a cool superhero name. You know, if you want to look at the positivity from this, you know. But it only works if you are actually a monkey. Like if it was a gorilla or a chimpanzee who goes out throughout the night, solving crimes, that superhero name would be Monkey Knight. This is not a good name for a little black girl with self-esteem issues. And this is what your colleagues, your peers, your other students, and even their parents are calling you. Rude. So that was her in her youth. So she's still a teenager. So because she has no friends, she has nobody to talk to, and she has become a selective mute. Like she hasn't said a word to anybody since she was 8 years old. She is devouring she is devouring TV shows, films, books. And one film in particular speaks to her heart. It becomes her favourite, which is 16 Candles. And in turn, because she's so obsessed with 16 Candles, she has become obsessed with having her money ringworld ending, meaning she wants to find the boy of her dreams and run off into the happily ever after. Enter in James Farrell. James Farrell is the football star. He's a popular kid at school, and the feeder has now got a super duper crush on him. So just going from that, I'm thinking I'm getting a teenage redemption story, you know, in the veins as 16 Candles, or what's that other film called? She's the One. You know, them teen that the nerdy geeky girl has a makeover and then gets the guy at the end. You know, those type of stories. That's what I'm thinking. No. Even though this story takes the title from 16 Candles, aka 32 Candles, you see how they connect? No. This is not a sweet rom-com teen drama. What this turned out to be was more like Fatal Attraction. And I was here for it. The drama, the mess, I loved it, okay? So, I'm going to stop right here and put a disclaimer. Because from this stage going forward, I'm going to just be talking about this book. There's going to be some spoilers involved. I'm not trying to filter out anything. So if you haven't read this book yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, go save this video, you know, go hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, put that in your playlist to watch later, go read the book, and then come back later here to watch, and so we can talk about it, because I'm going to get into it, okay? I've warned you now. Don't come at me later when you get the spoilers. So, what I want to start off with first with is the plot of this book, because this book is split into 5 parts. And I love it. I love a book when it's split into 5 parts, because first of all, it makes it easy to read. Second of all, instead of me going chapter or page by page, I'm going to be like, I'm going to read part 1 and stop, read part 2 and stop. I like that better. Okay, so we have 5 parts to this book. Let's focus on part 1. Part 1 is the introduction to the feeder story. Now, this is where I say has the most trigger warning. So I would suggest you check the content warnings before you start this book, because part 1 comes in heavy and smacks you in the face. So it is full of neglect, parental neglect, it's full of bullying, it's full of abuse. We uncover the toxic relationship that the feeder has with her mother, and we see the bullying and the neglectful relationship that the feeder has with her peers and has with other students from her school. However, we are also introduced to the object of the feeder's affection, which is James Farrell. So although there is a balance between the hardship that the feeder goes to and her dreamy moments, her dreaming of her future love. And we can't have a love story. We can't have a Molly Ringwald moment without an arch nemesis. And this is where we are also introduced to Veronica. Veronica is James's sister, and they have antipathy for each other. Is antipathy the word I want to use? See, I'm filming on my phone, so I can't really look it up, but I feel like that's the perfect word to use. Veronica hates the feeder for reasons that I will get into later, and she does not want to see the feeder with her brother. Not only because the feeder is the school pariah, it's the weirdo of her town, but she don't like her, so why is she gonna give her consent? You get what I mean? So before we get into the love between the feeder, James and Veronica and that whole mess, I want to discuss the mother. So the feeder's mother, she is a sex worker or she a hoe. I can't actually remember if it's said in the book that she's a sex worker, but she sleeps around. She has slept around with everybody, every male in this town. And I think she just hoeing out. I don't think she gets paid for it. I think it's like a sugar daddy situation going on. But either way, either one or other, she's sleeping around. She's sleeping with everybody. And how she treats the feeder, why she's doing it is terrible. I mean, granted, okay, so, alright, you're a parent. You want to get be getting it in, and you have a child at home. Fine. She takes precautions to protect the feeder. Like, she will lock her in her room, in the bathroom, tell her to go away while she has guests over. So fine, okay, you're still human, mum. You still got to live your life. However, she treats the feeder like crap, because this is going on when the feeder's young, when she's 5, 6, 8. When she's just a little baby, she's treating her like she doesn't want to have the feeder. Like the feeder is hindering her life, hindering her for living the best life that she can. I'm like, no, she's not. Because you're still getting these men to get it in. You know, this is still your choice. And because the feeder is witnessing, she's getting misconceptions about what it is to be in a relationship. And her mother, although she does, I have to put this out there, her mom does care for for the feeder, and I mean that in the sense that they have a roof over her head. The feeder has meals to eat, even though the feeder has to make the meals herself. She still has meals to eat. She still has someone to lay her head at night. It's not like she's kicking her child out on the street. However, as a mother, as somebody that has decided to keep this child, she is doing the bare minimum to ensure that the feeder survives. Okay, she doesn't even care about the quality of life. She just knows that the feeder needs to remain alive. Now the mother does take precautions to protect the feeder when these men come over, because she as I said, she locks her away. And when the men try to talk to the feeder, her mum goes ape. He's like, don't talk to my daughter, go away, you know? So I can see it's bad, but it's not as bad as it could be. My only gripe is because, disclaimer, I don't have kids, okay? I don't plan to have kids. I have never been in a situation where I have to give up a child. My problem is, if you have a child, and I know in America, to get rid of a child that is unwanted or that has been forced into you, it's become illegal now. And I think this book, or when the feeder was a child, it was in the 80s, so I'm not sure what the laws in the US was then. But if you had this child and you don't want it, and you don't want to keep them, you don't want to care for them, you really don't care what's happened to them, I understand that there are other options like adoption and foster care. Now, hear me out. I know foster care can be and is not always the better option, okay? Because I hear the stories, I read the book. I know foster care can be worse than actually staying in your parental home. But for the mum, from the mum's perspective, you don't want this child. You resent her being in your house. You hate the fact that you have to care for her. So for your mental health as the mother, why don't you take that option? Why are you keeping this child in your house, letting her know that you hate her and her very existence? Okay, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, with no backbone to stand on, give that child up, give that baby away. You know, you could go to a better home, it could go to a worse home. But for you as the mother, and you are still a human, for your mental health, why are you keeping this baby? I don't know. I can't speak on it. But that's my 2 cents anyway. So let's go back to Davy, our main character. So Davy, when Davida was 5 years old, you know, kids are gonna do what kids do when they're 5 years old. And Davida is no different. She dresses up in her mum's clothes. She's wearing her jewelry, her makeup, and her mum is out the house at this time. So Davida at 5 years old is in the house by herself having fun. So she puts the makeup, wears a heel, she's singing a Tina Turner song, dancing around the living room, having a grand old time. Her mum comes home and beats her up for touching her stuff. And at 5 years old, suffering this abuse from her mother, Davida's just like, you know what? What's the point? I'm not even going to talk anymore. So at 5 years old, she decides that she's never going to speak again, and she doesn't speak again. For the next 10, 11 years, she doesn't utter one word. She becomes a selective mute. I said selective mute, but I'm not sure if this is a selective mutism. Because I think selective mutism is you only speak to certain people that you're comfortable around. Davida speaks to nobody. Doesn't utter a sound. Everything's silent. She screams, no sound. She laughs, no sound. She breathes, no sound. She doesn't make one sound. So I don't know if that's selective mutism, but that's what she is at right now. And it's not like she talks to herself, because I know me, I'm having conversations with Angelica. Let's all be real, Angelica's a stuffed toy. She hasn't got her magical abilities yet, so she can't really talk back to me. But we're working on it. Soon she'll be able to talk back. But I speak to her all the time. So Davida, by herself, in her own little cocoon, she doesn't even speak out loud to herself. So I don't know how she's getting by, because I don't know how you cannot talk, even though nobody can hear you. Anyway. So now she's in secondary school and she's still not talking. And that makes her the weirdo of the school, because first of all, the town is colorist, because as I said, it's predominantly black people. Everyone there is mostly black. But they're still rude to her because she got dark skin, okay? First of all, that's a strike against her, according to the peers at her school. Second of all, she don't speak to no one, so she's a weirdo, so she gets bullied, okay? And she just takes it on the chin. She just takes it and just gets on with her day. And that is when she becomes addicted to TV shows and movies, in particular 16 Candles. So her being brainwashed, and I say brainwashed because media, okay, multimedia has brainwashed, has conditioned our society to be like what is portrayed on the TV screen should be our reality. Now that is what happens to Davida, because she watches 16 Candles on repeat, okay? And she wants that Molly Ringwald experience of a down and out girl, one of the lower tiers of the popularity scale in secondary school. That's who she is. And then she wants to find the boy of her dreams. Now I have to say, this is the problem with our society, okay? And hopefully, I'm hopefully, when this book was published, actually, and when this book was set, that is a problem. I feel like today, we are now made more aware that what we see on TV, what we see on social media is not actually true, that people are faking it. But back then, we thought it was real. Hell, I thought it was real, especially me being from the UK, watching these American shows. I thought that was really how American schools were like, or how American society was like, from all the TV shows I've been watching. So by us consuming all these TV, media, social media, books, you know, that are saying that they're portraying our reality, and where we want our Cinderella story or the ugly duckling rising from the flames. Granted, some people do have that experience, but the majority of us do not. The majority of us, what is portrayed as reality is actually fantasy. It's actually people making up stories of how they wish the world was, okay? So, Davida, watching this TV show, watching this film, thinks it's reality and thinks that she can have this Molly Ringwald ending. And people consume this media because they want a better life for themselves. And they think, they watch social media, they watch TV and film of actors, because they are actors, it's not reality, portraying a lifestyle similar to their own and coming out of the ashes, and they finally be like, I want that. What must I do to get that lifestyle? Not knowing that you are watching a work of fiction. And what we see on the screen is only a snapshot. It's only a little peek into their life. So obviously, when we watch TV, films, or read a book, we know it's just a snapshot. We don't see the beginning, the middle, and the end. We just see a little snapshot. This has gotten worse with the rise of reality television, because instead of just seeing a snapshot, we are technically seeing their whole lives, because it's called reality, not knowing that their reality is actually fake. They're only showing us what they want to show us. But yet we still have some people believing that if I copy what I see on TV, if I copy what I see on social media, I'm going to get that happiness that I so desire. No. That is not true. But anyway, I feel like I've diverted from the story. I feel like I've diverted from what 32 Candles is. So let's get back into it. So again, Davida watched 60 Candles. She wants her Molly Ringwald ending. And then enters James Farrell. And as I said, he is the popular boy at school. He's the rising football star. And she is obsessed with him. Now, he doesn't know she exists. I mean, why would he? Davida lives so below her radar. Why would he acknowledge her? But one day Davida gives him a note and he says thank you, and that changes her whole outlook on life. That changes everything for her, because she's just like, he acknowledged me. Oh, it's the beginning of our love story. No, girl, he was just being nice to stranger and said thank you. Okay? Sometimes being the Lulu is not the Salulu. Okay? Now, Davida, not having many social interactions, she becomes fully obsessed with James, to the point that she is stalking his every move. She has scrapbooks of him. It becomes such an unhealthy obsession. And I'm just, again, great to read. Girl, please wake up. He don't like you. He don't know who you are. Okay? And every time like James would leave like a scrap of paper or a rubber or a pencil or something laying about, she would take it, collect it, keep it in her little shrine that she has for him. Okay? And this is where Veronica, James's sister, gets involved, because Veronica notices that she likes him. And Veronica is having none of that. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because Veronica knows a secret. She knows that the feeder's mama is having an affair with her dad. Oh, plot turn. The feeder's mum and James's dad is getting it in, even though James is married. Now, this causes a problem because the Farrell family is wealthy. They have a hair care line that all the girls are raving about. Like, it's a national product. They're rich, and Veronica does not like the fact that her dad is having an affair on her mum. But it becomes worse when it's the feeder's mum. And now the feeder is falling in love with Jane. No. So obviously, what's the mean big sister gonna do? She's gonna bully the girl that's in love with her brother. And this is how we get to the end of part 1, because part 1 comes to the end when Veronica invites the feeder to their house party, and Davida is so happy because she's like, yes, this is my time to shine. I'm going to go to the party in my best looking outfit, and then James is going to see me, and then we're going to fall in love. And when Davida shows up, she's wearing a cute little dress outfit. Everybody at the party, Veronica gets everybody at the party to love her because obviously she's old for Jess. Okay, this is a secondary school party. What's she doing? And that's when Davida's just like, you know what? This is not working for me. Glass, Mississippi is not for me. She's 16 at this stage. She is 16 at this time. And she is like, Glass, Mississippi is not for me. It's not working. I am not going to get my Molly Ringwald ending by staying here. So she ducks out. She ups and leaves. That concludes part 1. Cheers. So now we're on to part 2, and that is called In Between Now and Then. So where part 1, we are introduced to a lot of the abuse, a lot of the grief, a lot of the misfortune that Davida has. Part 2 is about reinventing herself and about Davida finding a place to belong. Now, Davida, at 16 years old, when she leaves her town of Glass, Mississippi, God damn it, how you say this? Mississippi, okay? So when she leaves her town, she goes over to LA. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is the story of a small town girl going to LA, making it big, you know, finding her voice, going there to seek fame and fortune. It is kind of like that, but it's not. Because she's not there to find fame and fortune. She is there to not be the little squirrel hiding around in the corner. So Davida hops on a truck. Like, I know in America they have like long haul truckers. But she goes with this woman. I forget her name. But anyway, this is a lesbian woman that she gets in the truck with. So at first I thought, oh girl, you're gonna get like abuse. But no, this woman is a sweetheart. This woman picks up the feeder. I think the feeder at this point lies about her age because she don't want no one knowing that she's 16 running away from home. But then this truck, I'm gonna call the trucker lady Mandy, and that ain't her name, but we're just gonna call her Mandy for the sake of talking. So Mandy's just like, all right, I got a nephew, he's opened up a bar in LA and he's looking for someone to work, you know, I can get you a job there. Keep in mind, for the last 10-11 years, Davida has not spoken a single word to anybody. And that does not change with Mandy. So, hence, we enter the bar, we meet Nick, and Nick is going to be important in the story. So we meet Nick. Nick is looking for a singer. Davida ain't spoken nothing. So please explain to me how Davida goes to this bar, and next thing you know, she can sing. She can sing so beautifully. Like, she can sing, and she gets the singing gig at Nick's bar. But she ain't spoken a word in 10 years. She ain't utilised her vocal cords. So how can she sing like that? That little tidbit kind of annoyed me. But anyway, she gets a singing job at Nick's bar. Well done for you, Davida. You're living your good life. So I won't go into too much details of what happens in part 2. Basically, if you think of it like this, part 2 is like a montage. Part 2 is a montage from when Davida arrived in LA and how her life is building up until we get further along in the story. Now, let me tell you something. We need to talk about Nick the boss. Because his character, There are so many things right and so many things wrong with him, okay? Because he's the boss. He is the best friend. He is the boyfriend and the daddy. How can you have all of those characters in one person? It don't make no sense. There is something going on here that did not sit well with me. Let me get into it. Let's get into Nick. That sounded nasty. I don't mean let's get into him. Let's discuss him, okay? That's what I meant. So Nick is one of those characters that are completely unlikable and yet captivating. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed reading him. I enjoyed his scenes in the book. The only reason he is unlikable is I just don't like the way he was moving. I don't like the way he treated the feeder in certain parts of the story. Now, reading the book the first time, I didn't clock this. I didn't actually deep the situation because the feeder is 16 when they met. He knows she's 16 because his auntie told him, and he said to her, you need to lie about your age, okay? But he did protect her between 16 and 21. Nick did say, look, you're not dating, I'm gonna watch over you. So he did protect her, and that is where the daddy situation came into it. But the feeder's 16 and Nick is 21 when they met. He ain't did nothing to her. The book says he ain't did nothing to her until she became 21. Now, as soon as she became 21, on her 21st birthday, Nick takes her out to dinner and says, I want to be with you. You know, let's start dating. Bear in mind, he's been this overpowering figure, her boss and her daddy figure, for the last five years or so. And as soon as she's free from you, or as soon as she's come of age, you're just like, I want to get in there. Like, I want you to be my girl. That sounds like grooming to me, if I ever heard it. That sounds like grooming because you was there waiting, okay? You made sure that nobody else got to her. She didn't even date anybody, not even people her own age. Not even when she turned 18 and she can date other 18-year-olds. You said, no, you ain't allowed to date if you're living in my roof. But now she's 21 and you want to go get in there? That didn't sit right for me. That was kind of nasty. Only because I felt like it was grooming. Now, keep in mind, when she was 21, he would have been around, what, 26, 27? So, it's not too bad if they met under any other circumstances, but the circumstances of their meeting is questionable, you know? So throughout when they're dating, I believe they was dating for like 5 years, he was her boss, he was her landlord, he was her best friend and her daddy figure. It don't make no sense. It's too much power in one man's hand. I didn't like that for her. And even though Davida was making moves to become the woman that she was meant to be, you still had Nick overbearing on you. Now, when they did finally break up, when they did go their separate ways, after you've been dipping it and doing it for 5+ years, instead of you calling him your best friend or your cousin, because you guys are close, okay? He's been with you for 10 years. You guys are close. You can't detangle from your friendship. They go on like their best friend. She refers to him as her daddy figure. That don't make no sense. How are you dipping it and doing it with somebody you consider your daddy? Like, not in that kinky, nasty way that people call their lovers daddy. I mean, she believes that he is her father figure. What? So, I only clocked this when I was reading it the second time. And I had to keep flicking back through the pages. Like, am I reading too much into this? No, I'm not. It's right there on the page. So please let me know if you have read this book and you picked this up. Please, am I imagining it? I can't be. Anywho, and let me tell you why they broke up. Because obviously Davida, when she was back in her hometown in Glasgow, everyone bullied her for being the dark-skinned girl, calling her Monkey Knight. So obviously Davida's got some type of insecurities about the colour of her skin, how dark it is. Nick knows this because Davida did tell him. How dare you cheat on Davida with a lighter skinned woman? And the only reason that you cheat on her is because she was light skinned. How dare you, Nick? From that point on, Nick, I don't like you. I don't like you. That is so rude. With all that being said, because I feel like part 2 was all about Nick. Well, not all about it. It was about Nick and their relationship. I did enjoy part 2 because we have Nick. Okay, forget about him. I did enjoy part 2 because we have Nick and we have the bar he's on. Now, if any of you guys watch P-Valley and remember Uncle Clifford, Nick reminds me of Uncle Clifford, meaning that he takes care of his girls that work in the bar. He takes care of his employee. And the same energy that Uncle Clifford brings, Nick is bringing too. So if you take away Nick's relationship with Davida and just remove that from his character arc, Nick and Uncle Clifford are the same person. And I love that. I love that. So that's why part 2 is fun. Also, in part 2, we see Davida coming into her own. Not only has she got her voice back and she's singing to the top of her lungs, Nick tells her she needs a makeover because obviously Davida doesn't know how to take care of herself in the sense that cleanliness, in the sense that she doesn't know how to do her makeup or style her hair because ain't no one taught her. So Nick tells her she needs to do a makeover, that she should straighten her afro because that's what people want to see. She goes to the hairdresser, and this is what I love because she has such luscious thick curls and the afro. The hairdresser in LA, and I believe this is the early 90s in LA, she goes, no, we're not going to straighten your hair. We're going to bring your curls out. We're going to make it alive. And I love to see that positive hair representation. Because back in the days, back in the 90s, even the early 20s, no, the early 2000s, it was all about chemicalizing your hair. Okay, putting that perm in, making it straight, maybe even dyeing it blonde just to fit into the westernized standard of beauty. No. So I love in this book how they had positive hair representation by somebody, by a hairdresser in LA, which LA is known for creating the plastic Barbies. No, that is not Davida. Davida is black positive representation at its finest. So Davida comes into her own and she grows up in this section, and even after her relationship ends with Nick when she was around 26, she says, you know what do I want for me? Because my life up until now, I've been technically living for another person. I've been living to please Nick, working in his bar, singing in his bar, getting down and nasty with him. No, now it's my time to shine. And so she decides she wants to go into education. She wants to go to university. And I have to say, 26 and above, I think that it's the perfect time to go to university, because just coming out of secondary school, when you're 18, 19, and you have to immediately go to university, I'm sorry, that is not a good time. You need to get out and live your life a bit more, get to know about the world, realize where you want to fit in that world, and what you need to do to get there. Because sometimes university is not the answer. Sometimes getting an education and spending all that money to get a degree that you're never going to use because that's not the career that you actually want, and you just wasted 4 years of your life. So her going to university at 26, I love that, and I wish I did that. Because do I use my degree? No. I actually have to remove my degree from my CV to get a job because they say, why are you not using your degree? Because my degree is pointless, okay? And I have to say this now, I do think higher education, university, is a bit of a scam. I do think that. That question when you ask someone where did you go to uni? I don't care where you went to uni. It doesn't really matter. To me, I think it's a scam. I think this idea of you getting a bachelor's degree is only relevant if you're going into a field of work where it is needed, aka being a lawyer, being a doctor, being a scientist, where you need that education from prior knowledge. Okay? Otherwise, the work experience is key. So I like this for her, Davida, going to university, because now she's decided that is what she wants to do, instead of being pressured to go to university when she's still a child, where she's still a teenager finding herself. At 18, 19, even 20, you shouldn't be back in education. You should be out there living your life and then deciding that actually education is for yourself. Anyway, I've gone on another tangent because that's got nothing here or there to do with this book. Let's get back into it. Let me tell you, this one is quite nice. I mean, it's easily digestible. It's got this fruity flavour. Is it fruity? Hold on. Yes, berries. It's got this berry flavour to it. And normally when I drink a red, like a Pinot Noir, I can't be drinking it down. This goes down so smoothly. I may need to stop because I don't want to get tipsy before I finish talking about this book. Because you all know, I can't really say my words right. Even when I'm not drinking. My words don't come out in the standardized English that you know. Okay? So, anyway. Back to the book. But as I was saying, so Davina, she gets her degree. She gets a degree in psychology because during her 5 years working at the bar, she's getting to understand people, meaning that she's interacting with so many people coming into the bar, seeing her sing, talking to other people outside of her small town that was bringing her down, and she wants to understand people more, so she gets a degree in psychology. Now you think maybe she's going to go off and be a psychologist or therapist or something. No, she goes right back to the bar to work for Nick and continue her singing career. However, she is more at ease with herself. She's more comfortable in the skin that she's in. And I kind of love that for her. Because even though she decided she wants to get her higher education, she was already in position in the place where she wants to be. She just has now a greater understanding of the world at large in relation to people. Brilliant. So with that being said, let's move on to part 3. Now, part 3 is set in 2007. So before that, I think we was in the 80s and the 90s. Now we're in the early 2000s. So Davina at this stage, she's around 28, I believe. And this is where her past comes back to ruin her. Because you're forgetting, this is a romance story, okay? This is a romance story. And for romances, you have to have your happily ever after. And in part 3, this is where the love of her life, where she wanted her Molly Ringwald ending, comes back. Please enter in James Farrell. Now, again, remember, Davina was obsessed with him, okay? In secondary school. She was obsessed with him. Now he's come back into the bar. She's being reunited with him. But James don't know who she is. James does not remember her. Because to James in high school, who was Davina? He didn't know her. She wasn't even on his radar. Okay? So now Davina is struggling. Should I tell him who I am? Or should we just go on with the get on? Okay? Because the Davina I was back then is not the Davina I am now. But they do start dating. They start getting it in. And what I loved about their meet cute, because in romance, it's all about the meet cute. I don't believe the meet cute that they had in secondary school, in high school, was their real meet cute. Their meet cute was what they had now when they were adult. Because the feeder's just like trying to push him away, saying, James, we can't be together. I don't want to be with you. And James is like not taking that for an answer. He's just like, I like a difficult woman. I like a woman that makes me want to chase her. Oh, I was eating that up. I was there for it. I was like, James, you smooth with it. You smooth with it. And Davina's just trying her hardest not to be in love with this boy, but she can't. Because he's the one for her. He's the one that she wants. Now, in the background, you have Nick, who knows her whole story, yapping in her ear, saying, you need to stay away from that boy. He's no good for you. And I'm like, Nick, shut up. Okay? He just needs to go. Because Davina's now having her moment. Alright? So, Nick and Davina start dating. And all's looking good. Okay? Everything is looking happy. We're going to have a moment. Keep in mind, hold on. Let's see where part 3 is. So part 3 ends here. Okay? I don't know if you can tell. But we have this much pages left. So all the happiness has already happened. What's this? What's this? This is all the happiness. Why have we got so many pages left? What? Why have you got so many pages left? Honestly. So, part 3. Nick and Davina, not Nick and Davina, James and Davina are together. They're happy. I'm thinking, yes, she has her moment, but there's so much left in the book. So obviously something's got to go wrong, and something goes wrong because who comes into the picture? None other than Veronica. Now Veronica, who knows of Davina, who knows who Davina is as soon as she sees her on side, and calls her Monkey Knight. Calls her Monkey Knight like it just comes back to her. Oh, Veronica's so rude. But you know what? Veronica is a top A witch with a capital B. And she plays it so well. You know? I like it when somebody is bitchy. And they know they're bitchy. And they're unapologetically bitchy. And that is what Veronica is. So I have to give her props. However, because Veronica knows who she is, Davina runs away from the situation when she's meant to meet their family. So Veronica tells James who she is, and now obviously James is upset. James is upset that Davida has been lying to her all this time. But she's not really lying. Because is it really lying if you don't tell somebody who you really are? Because it wasn't like she was faking who she was when they were together. She was Davida. She was in love with him. She just didn't tell him that they went to the same high school together and she was in love with him back then. But then the plot twist happened. The plot twist happened. Now, I don't know if I want to tell you what it is. But I said it would be filled with spoilers. But the plot twist happens in part 4. Now, part 4 is just one chapter long. And it is the best part of the book. It is the best part of the book. Because what takes the book from being a romantic comedy, not romantic comedy, from being a romance, from being a contemporary novel, from being this coming of age drama of seeing Davida come into herself, what part 4 does is flip the script. It literally tells us that what we thought this book was about was not what this book is about. Because it's about Davida getting her revenge from everybody that ever did her dirty. Or in this case, from the Pharrells. And part 4 was so good. Because not only for these last 10 years that Davida's been in LA, she ain't never forgot how these people in Glass, Mississippi treated her. She ain't never forgot. So she's been dropping seeds and getting her revenge on people that did her wrong. From Veronica. From ruining Veronica's relationship with her soon-to-be husband. Okay, ruined her engagement. Got her, their other sister, I forgot the sister's name, but ruined her relationship too, and made James's girlfriend at that time, because James was going to go out with this actress, was all over the blogs. And Davida was like, no, he doesn't get to be happy with her because he's mine. And you see that all in part 4. It was fantastic. Part 4 is the reason why this book is the unicorn status for me. Because again, what I thought I was getting was a sweet, romantic, contemporary book. But what I got was a fatal attraction, kind of sinister. Like, girl, like Davida, you weren't innocent. But I love it. Oh. And then we reach part 5. Part 5 is the last part of this book, and this is her redemption arc. Because everything has been brought to the light. All the bad that she's done to people when she was in uni studying to be a psychologist, studying psychology and how to get into people's mind. She used that degree not to get a career, but to mess with those people that did her wrong. So now she's about getting her redemption arc in. So she's there making amends. She's there apologizing to people that she used, that she technically ruined their life on. And I absolutely loved it. I love this full circle she's got. Now at this point, her and James are not together. James cannot forgive her because James was in love with that actress that she broke up. He was in love with her. So James is not forgiving her. They're not talking. But the feature's like, you know what? James was just one person. I need to make amends with the other people in my life that I've ruined. So during all this time, please tell me why Nick, her ex-boyfriend, best friend, daddy figure, still don't like saying that, is now falling in love with Veronica, her arch nemesis. Now, don't get me wrong, I love their love story. Them two together were meant to be. But still, I don't like them. I don't like them because I'm friends with Davida. She's my homegirl. But then I like them together. Oh, that was so good. That was so cute. Now, as I said, this is a romance book. Okay? Does Davida have a happily ever after? I believe she does. It ends with her finding who she is as a person, coming to accept it. She realizes why her mum hates her so much. And the thing is, she gets closure on her mum because, I'm gonna just tell you, her mum was abused by her daddy. So Davida is not only the daughter, it's also the sister. And, it makes you understand why her mum is like how she is. But again, I don't know. America's weird, so maybe she couldn't find the help she needed, and she took out her anger on her daughter. But still, yeah, so she gets that culture with her mother, she gets culture of other people around her, around her, the ones that she's done bad. So that was great. And what makes Davida as a character, because you're with her from when she's 5 until she's in her early 30s. You see how much abuse and how much neglect she's been through. You see how people around her cheated her, and instead of her just taking it on the chin, instead of her just bottling up all her anger and her misfortune at the world, she gets her lick back, okay? Davida takes revenge on her people that has hurt her. And I like to see that. And she has her reason. And to me, her reasons for the actions that she has done is fully justified. So, this book has just made me want to read it again. This is a book that should be a movie. I would love to see this turned into a movie or a limited series, because it was great. And you know what annoys me? That ERNESSA T has not come out with another book. When was this book released? This was published in 2010. In 2010. It's been 14 years. Where is your other book, ERNESSA? I need it. Her writing in this book, the prose in this book was fantastic, okay? The way the pacing was excellent. And what the one line in this book that I love is that Davida says, do not accept the boy's invitation to crazy. And that just means do not make these men in your life or your love interest or the person you're with make you crazy. Because that's not what she's gonna do. So every time she kept saying this, don't accept the boy's invitation to crazy, I thought, okay, she got a level head. Turns out, Davida, you've been doing these crazy antics for the last 10 years, ain't no one seen you. ERNESSA T Carter's writing in this book isn't something that attempts to be overly literary or poetic. It's simple and it's direct, but her narrative voice is so compelling. You get drawn into the story, you get drawn into the characters and their lives, and you can just vividly see the details in your mind's eye when you're reading it. So what this book is, let's just wrap this up. I feel like I've been talking for an age. So this book is amazing. This book is both refreshing, it's well written, it's engaging. Now, again, so at first I read this book physically and then I read it via audiobook. I highly suggest the audiobook because that narrator brings alive these characters, brings alive the voices, and you can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy this wild ride. What I find this book is very universal. So even though we are focusing on a black girl, we focus on her coming into her own, there are themes of colorism in this book. However, I believe this book is universal. Like, anybody from any ethnicity can relate to Davida, can see themselves in Davida's position. I'm going to recommend this book 10 times out of 10 times. This book, as I said, is unicorn status. So please do let me know if you have read this book, how you feel about this book. And please, ERNESSA T Carter, come out with your other book already. I don't care if it's a little snippet. I just like your writing. I just need more. So what I'm saying, the best part about this book is part 4. So for order for you to enjoy part 4 of the book, you need to read it from part 1. You need to read the whole book. Okay? So let me know if you've read it. And I feel like the worst part of this book, and I say that to the meaning that it made me feel some type of way, is her sexual relationship with Nick. Their friendship that they had is fine. The fact that they are in a relationship, for part of her life, I didn't like that. It didn't sit well with me. And it only made me feel some type of way on my second read when I actually deeped their relationship. But other than that, this book was fantastic. Right, so that is it for me today. Let's just wrap this up. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified of when I put out my next video. If you do like this kind of sit-down talks, deep dive, please let me know. Even if you don't like them, I'ma still do them because I like drinking wine and talking about books. And I hope you enjoyed your drink, okay?